My grandson came back up from the basement. His face was pale. He sat down across from me and didn't speak for a long moment. "Pack a bag," he finally said. "Right now." "What?" "We're leaving. Don't call anyone. We go. Now." "Owen, what's wrong?" "Grandma, please. Just trust me. We need to leave this house immediately." I stared at him. My grandson, who never scared easily. His hands were shaking. "This is my home. I know, but it's not safe." "What do you mean it's not safe?" He showed me his phone. Photos of something in the basement. I didn't understand what I was looking at. "Someone did this on purpose," he said. "Pack your things. Now." 20 minutes later, we were in his truck, driving away from the house my late husband built with his own hands, the house I'd lived in for 40 years. My phone started ringing. Owen looked at the screen. "Don't answer." "Why not?" He didn't say, just kept driving. "My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 68 years old, and this is the story of how my grandson saved my life." Before we continue, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, and subscribe to Never Too Old channel. We're creating a community of people who know that our best chapters can happen at any age. Now, back to the story. The headache woke me before dawn, again. I lay still in bed, trying not to move my head. The room tilted if I turned too fast. My stomach churned. These mornings had become routine over the past 2 months, but knowing what to expect didn't make it easier. I reached across the mattress, Walter's side, cold sheets, smooth and undisturbed. 4 years now since the heart attack took him. Some mornings I still forgot. The nausea hit harder. I sat up slow, gripping the nightstand. My hands looked thin in the gray light coming through the curtains. When had I lost so much weight? The doctor said it was normal at 68. "Things slow down," he said. "Your body changes." I made it to the bathroom and splashed water on my face. The woman in the mirror looked pale, older than I remembered. I'd dropped another few pounds this month. My clothes hung loose now. The kitchen was easier to navigate if I held the wall. I ran my hand along the chair rail Walter had installed 30 years ago. He'd sanded it smooth, applied 3 coats of finish. His work covered every surface in this house. The cabinets he'd built from oak, the built-in shelves in the living room, the banister he'd carved by hand. Walter built this house, not hired contractors, him. 2 years of work, 1982 to 1984. He came home from job sites and worked on our house until dark. Stephen was 2 then, a toddler following his father around, trying to hold the hammer Walter gave him. Too heavy for those little hands, but he tried anyway. I filled the coffee pot at the sink. Through the window I could see the maple tree Walter planted when Stephen was born. 45 years old now, that tree. Still standing. The coffee brewing smelled good, but my stomach said no. I sat at the table with my hands wrapped around the warm mug. Didn't drink it, just held it. 2 weeks ago the ambulance came. I'd been too weak to stand. Nancy from next door found me on the bathroom floor and called 911. The hospital ran tests, blood work, scans, questions. A young doctor with kind eyes pulled up a chair next to my bed. "Mrs. Bennett, your blood shows elevated carbon monoxide." I blinked at him. "What does that mean?" "It means you've been exposed. Do you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home?" "Yes, my son checked it last month." "And your car? Do you run it in an attached garage?" "The garage is detached, and I barely drive anymore." He made notes on his tablet. Stephen arrived then, still in his work clothes. He looked worried. He talked to the doctor in the hallway where I couldn't hear. When he came back, he sat on the edge of my bed. "Mom, the doctor thinks maybe you left your car running, in the garage. Do you remember doing that?" I tried to think. Had I? My memory felt fuzzy lately. "I don't think so." "You've been confused. It's okay. These things happen." Stephen drove me home that day. Made sure I got inside safely. Checked the detector himself. Pressed the test button. It beeped. He said, "See, Mom, it works fine. You're safe." But I didn't feel safe. A truck pulled up outside. I looked through the window and saw Owen getting out. 24 years old, built like his grandfather. He wore jeans with paint stains and a tool belt around his waist. Walter's tool belt. I'd given it to him after the funeral. I opened the door before he knocked. "Hi, Grandma." He smiled. Then the smile dropped. He stared at me. "You've lost weight." Come in. I made coffee. He followed me to the kitchen, his boots heavy on the floor. He set down the wooden toolbox. Walter's toolbox. The brass latches still worked perfectly. Are you eating? Owen asked. When I can. My stomach's been upset. He pulled out a chair and sat across from me. His face reminded me so much of Walter at that age. The same strong jaw, the same careful eyes that noticed everything. You said there are cracks in your bedroom wall? Above the window. They showed up a few months ago. I'll take a look. He stood and picked up the toolbox. Mind if I check a few other things while I'm here? Whatever you need. I followed him upstairs, slower than I wanted. He had to stop on the landing and wait for me. In my bedroom he examined the cracks, ran his fingers along them, stepped back and tilted his head. These aren't normal settling cracks. He looked around the room. Something else is going on here. What do you mean? He walked to the heating vent in the wall, crouched down, touched the painted metal. This doesn't look right. Stephen painted it when he sealed the old vents. 3 months ago. He said they were drafty. Owen went very still. He sealed your vents? For energy efficiency. To lower my heating bills. Owen stood and looked at the walls, really looked at them. He walked the perimeter of the room. Stopped at another spot where the paint looked slightly different. Grandma, can I open up a small section of this wall? I'll patch it after. If you think you need to. He went to the truck and came back with a utility knife and pry bar. He scored the paint carefully along the seam where the new drywall met the old. Then he pried back a section, just big enough to see behind it. Behind the new drywall was one of Walter's original ventilation grates, completely covered, sealed off. Owen touched it, said nothing for a long moment. Who did this work? His voice sounded different. Flat. Stephen. He came over several times. Did the whole room. Owen stood and looked at the carbon monoxide detector on the ceiling. He dragged my desk chair over and climbed up, took the detector down, opened the back panel. His hands shook. He showed me the inside. The battery is soldered in place. Dead. This detector doesn't work. Someone modified it so it can't detect anything. My chest went tight. Stephen tested it. I heard it beep. It can beep without detecting. Look at these wires. This was done on purpose. He climbed down and stood there holding the useless detector. His jaw worked like he was chewing words he couldn't say. I need to check your basement. Owen, what's wrong? I need to check. Now. He went down the basement stairs fast. I heard him moving things, the scrape of something heavy being pushed aside. Then nothing, just silence. I waited in the kitchen. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I gripped the counter edge. 20 minutes passed, maybe longer. Finally, his footsteps came back up. He stopped in the doorway. His shirt was dirty, dust in his hair. He held his phone. He sat down across from me. I need to show you something. He turned the phone screen toward me. Photos, pipes, metal fittings, a small box with wires. I didn't understand what I was seeing. This is under your bedroom floor. Someone ran a gas line there. There's a timer attached. It's set to release carbon monoxide when your heat kicks on at night. The words made no sense. I stared at the photos. This is engineered, Grandma. Whoever did this knows mechanical systems. This took planning, months of work. His voice cracked. Someone is trying to kill you, slowly. The sealed vents trap the gas in your room. The fake detector makes sure you don't know. Your symptoms, the hospital visit, all of it. This is why. I looked at him, at Walter's tool belt around his waist, at his face, so much like the man I married. Stephen did the work in my room. I know. He's a mechanical engineer. I know. My son who I raised, who I fed and clothed and loved. Owen reached across the table and took my hand. Pack a bag, right now. We're leaving this house. Don't call Stephen. Don't call Jessica. Don't tell anyone where we're going. This is my home. It's not safe. Please, Grandma. I looked around the kitchen Walter built, the cabinets he made, the floor he laid, every board and nail put in place to protect us. Someone had turned it into a trap. Through the kitchen window I saw a dark sedan parked down the street. It had been there when Owen arrived. I hadn't thought about it until now. Okay, I said. Let me get my things. Owen drove fast but not reckless. I sat in the passenger seat with my hands folded in my lap, watching the neighborhood disappear behind us. Every house on my street held memories, 40 years of birthday parties and block barbecues and lending sugar to neighbors, gone now in 5 minutes. My small suitcase sat at my feet. I'd packed like Owen told me. Clothes, medications, my toothbrush, Walter's photo from the nightstand. I left everything else behind. We drove for 25 minutes before Owen pulled off the highway. A diner sat alone in a parking lot, one of those 24-hour places with bright fluorescent lights. Only 2 other cars outside. "We need to talk," Owen said, away from the house. Inside smelled like coffee and bacon grease. A waitress with tired eyes brought us menus. Owen ordered coffee for both of us. I knew I wouldn't drink mine. He pulled out his phone and set it on the table between us. The screen showed the photo of pipes and wires under my bedroom floor. "Look at this," he said. He zoomed in on a metal box. "This is a timer. It's connected to the gas line. When your thermostat calls for heat at night, this triggers a slow leak into your bedroom." I stared at the screen. The device looked small, professional, like something you'd buy at a hardware store. "The vents being sealed keeps the gas trapped in your room. It builds up while you sleep. Not enough to kill you in one night, but over weeks and months." He swiped to another photo. "This is the ventilation grate Grandpa installed. See how it's completely covered? That's fresh drywall, maybe 3 months old." Steven said he was helping, making the house more energy efficient. He was making it into a death trap. Owen's jaw tightened. He stopped, closed his eyes. When he opened them again, his voice was quieter. "My dad knows mechanical engineering, flow rates, exposure times, how carbon monoxide affects the body. This is his work." The coffee arrived. I wrapped my hands around the cup for warmth even though I wasn't cold. Owen stared at his phone screen. "I keep thinking there's another explanation, that maybe someone else did this, but I know his work. I've seen the projects he builds in his garage." He looked up at me. "This is exactly how Dad would engineer something. Precise, calculated." "He's your father." "I know." His voice cracked. "And he's trying to kill you." Owen opened a browser on his phone and typed. His fingers moved fast across the screen. He stopped and turned it toward me. "Dad works for Apex Aerospace, has for 20 years. Yes. Look at this." He showed me a news article. They announced major layoffs 6 months ago, consolidating positions, cutting senior staff. I read the headline. My eyes wouldn't focus right. Steven never told me about layoffs. He didn't tell anyone. I found out 2 months ago when I stopped by his house unannounced. He was on the phone with someone about severance packages. Owen's hands tightened around his coffee cup. He said it wasn't his position being cut, but he was lying. I could tell. My stomach turned. He has a family, a mortgage. I know. And if he loses his job at 45, in his field, he won't find another one easily. Not at the same salary. Owen pulled up his father's professional profile. Steven's photo smiled from the screen. Navy suit, confident expression. The profile listed his position at Apex. Nothing about layoffs. I remembered last Christmas. Steven looked thinner, stressed. He'd snapped at Kelly over something small. I'd asked if everything was okay. He said yes, just work being demanding. I'd believed him. "Grandpa said something before he died," I said. "About Steven having money troubles. He took out a second mortgage." Owen nodded. "I remember. Grandpa was worried. He wanted to help, but Dad refused." Walter said. "Steven told him everything was under control." It wasn't. Owen set his phone down and rubbed his face. "I went over there for dinner 3 months ago. Dad got a call from the bank. He went outside to take it. When he came back, he looked sick. Mom looked like she'd been crying. I'd seen Kelly cry twice in 20 years. Once when her mother died. Once when she had a miscarriage. Your house is worth $800,000 now," Owen said. "You told me that last year when you had it appraised. The neighborhood's changed. Young families moving in. And you own it outright. No mortgage." He met my eyes. "If you die, the estate gets divided. Dad and Aunt Jessica each get half, $400,000 each." The diner felt too cold suddenly. "That's not enough reason to kill someone." "It is if you're drowning." Owen picked up his phone again. His hands shook slightly. "What about Aunt Jessica? I know Uncle Paul's been sick." I didn't want to answer. Jessica was my daughter. Owen's aunt. She'd taught him how to ride a bike when he was 6. She'd never missed one of his birthdays. Paul has kidney disease, I said. Over a year now. The medications are expensive, aren't they? Jessica mentioned it last spring. $2,500 a month. Their insurance covers the basics but not everything he needs. Owen nodded slowly. She told me about it too. At Grandpa's birthday, the year he died. She cried, said she didn't know how they'd manage. He stared at his coffee. She works in insurance claims. She'd know exactly how death investigations work. What looks suspicious and what doesn't. The truth sat heavy between us. My daughter helped plan my murder. My son would execute it. Both desperate. Both willing. Mom's in real estate, Owen continued. She'd know your house value to the dollar. Know the market, how fast she could sell. Kelly and I used to be close. Before I chose construction instead of college. I looked at him. That changed things? Dad made it change things. He stopped inviting me to family dinners, said I'd made my choice, I could live with it. Owen's voice went hard. Mom went along with it. So did Aunt Jessica, mostly. You were the only one who didn't treat me different. Your grandfather never would have allowed that. I know. That's why Dad waited until after Grandpa died to really cut me off. We sat quiet for a moment. The waitress refilled Owen's coffee without asking. He thanked her but didn't drink it. My phone buzzed in my purse. I jumped. Owen reached over and took it out. He looked at the screen. 8 missed calls from Dad. 5 from Aunt Jessica. They know I'm gone. They know something's wrong. He handed me the phone. Don't answer yet. I stared at the list. Stephen's name over and over. Jessica's name between them. My children. I'd taught them to walk, to read, to be kind. They were calling now because they wanted to know if their plan was failing. A memory hit me sudden and sharp. Owen must have been 10, maybe 11. Summer day. Hot sun. Walter was building a deck in our backyard. Owen sat next to him, watching every move. Walter showed him how to check if boards were level, how to countersink screws. Stephen came outside with a beer, stood watching them work. His face had something on it I couldn't name then, but I recognized it now. Resentment. His own father teaching his own son the work Stephen had rejected, the work Stephen thought he was too good for. Walter had looked up, smiled. Stephen, want to help? Could use an extra pair of hands. Stephen said no, said he had an engineering journal to read. Something important. He went back inside. Owen had asked Walter why Dad didn't like carpentry. Walter said some people build with their hands, some people build with their minds. Both matter. But I'd seen the hurt in Walter's eyes. I blinked and the memory faded. Owen was watching me. Your grandfather was so proud of you, I said. I know. Stephen was jealous, even when you were little. I know that too. Owen's voice was quiet. But I never thought he'd. I reached across the table and took his hand. Neither did I. Owen opened his Maps app. There's a hotel 40 miles from here. I'm going to get you a room. Under your name. Under yours. If we hide completely, they'll know we're running. They'll find me. Probably. But we need time to figure this out. The waitress brought the check. Owen paid cash, and we walked out to the truck. The sun had set while we talked. The parking lot lights buzzed overhead. Owen started the engine but sat there for a moment. I need to upload these photos. Email them to myself, put them in cloud storage. If Dad figures out I have evidence, he might try to destroy it. Do it. He worked on his phone while I watched trucks pass on the highway. Walter and I used to take road trips. Stop at places like this. He'd order too much food and laugh when I couldn't finish mine. Done, Owen said finally. Even if something happens to my phone, the evidence is safe. He pulled onto the highway. I watched the diner disappear in the side mirror. The hotel was small and plain. The kind of place where nobody asks questions. Owen paid cash for one night. Room 214, second floor. Inside, it smelled like cleaning products and old carpet. One bed, one chair, a bathroom with a dripping faucet. I sat on the edge of the bed. Owen sat in the chair across from me. Try to get some sleep. I can't. Just rest then. We'll figure out what to do in the morning. I lay down on top of the covers, still dressed, stared at the water-stained ceiling tile. Somewhere down the hall, a door slammed. My son was trying to murder me. My daughter was helping him. My grandson was the only reason I was still alive. I closed my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. You're right to be frustrated. I made a basic structural error. I got caught up in the momentum of the scene and forgot to stop at the chapter break. I should have checked the outline more carefully before writing the alley confrontation. Let me rewrite chapter 3 correctly, ending at the proper cliffhanger point. I didn't sleep. Every sound in that hotel made me jump. Footsteps in the hallway, a door closing somewhere down the hall, the ice machine rumbling. Each time my heart hammered and I stared at the door. Owen had fallen asleep in the chair, his head tilted at an angle that would hurt his neck in the morning. His phone sat on the small table beside him, screen dark. I watched him breathe and tried to calm down. But I couldn't stop thinking about the door. Around 3 in the morning, I got up and checked the lock. Tested the handle, the deadbolt was secure, the chain was on. I stood there in the dark, my hand on the cold metal, and realized what I was doing. I was afraid of my own children. Not strangers, not burglars or random violence. My son Stephen and my daughter Jessica. The babies I'd nursed and rocked, the toddlers I'd chased around the backyard, the teenagers I'd driven to soccer practice and piano lessons. They wanted me dead, and now they were looking for me. I went back to the bed but didn't lie down, just sat on the edge, hands in my lap, waiting for morning. The sun came up gray and cold. Owen woke stiff, rubbing his neck. He saw me sitting there and didn't ask if I'd slept. He already knew. "I need to go back to the house," he said. "What?" "No. Your symptom notebook. The one you kept by your bed. We left it there." He stood and stretched, wincing. "The police are going to need that. It shows the pattern, how your symptoms got worse over time. It's too dangerous. Stephen could be there. I'll be careful. In and out, 5 minutes." He picked up his truck keys from the table. "You stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me." "Owen." "I have to, Grandma. Without that notebook, it's harder to prove this was planned." He left before I could argue more. I locked the door like he said, put the chain on, then sat on the bed and waited. 45 minutes passed. I counted them on the digital clock by the bed. Each minute felt like 10. Finally, I heard his truck in the parking lot, his footsteps on the stairs, a knock at the door. "It's me." I opened the door. Owen came in fast, breathing hard. He had the notebook in his hand, but his face was wrong. Pale, frightened. "What happened?" He locked the door and sat down heavy in the chair. Dad was there. And Mom. I hid outside by the garage and listened through the kitchen window. It was open a crack. "What did you hear?" Dad was on the phone. I could hear him clear. He said, "Owen has her. If the police see this house, we're done. We need to find them now." Owen looked at me. Then Mom said, "I'll call every hotel in the area." She probably used her real name. She wouldn't think to hide. My chest went tight. Dad said something else. Owen's voice dropped. He said, "We're too far in now. We have to finish this." The room felt smaller suddenly. The walls too close. "What does that mean?" "It means they're not going to stop." Owen stood and started pacing. "If they find us, they'll—" He didn't finish, but he didn't need to. I sat on the bed, my hands gripping the cheap bedspread. This was real. This was happening. "We should leave," I said. "Drive somewhere else. Another city. And go where? If Mom's calling hotels, she'll find us anywhere." Owen stopped pacing. "We need to think. Figure out what to do." The phone on the nightstand rang. We both stared at it. The hotel phone. Not my cell. It rang again, shrill in the quiet room. "Don't answer it," Owen said. It rang 4 more times, then stopped. We sat frozen, listening. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. 30 seconds later, my cell phone rang. I'd left it on the bed. Jessica's name lit up the screen. Owen shook his head at me. The phone rang and rang. Finally it stopped. Then immediately started again. Jessica calling back. "Maybe I should answer," I said. "See what she says." "No, not yet." The phone stopped ringing. A minute passed. 2. Then it rang again. Jessica's name. Over and over on the screen. Owen grabbed the phone and turned it off completely. "We can't talk to them. Not until we have a plan." He went to the window and looked out through a gap in the curtains. He stood there for a long moment, then went very still. Grandma. What? Dad's car just pulled into the parking lot. My blood went cold. He found us? Mom must have called this hotel, asked if you were here. Owen stepped back from the window. Aunt Jessica's car just pulled in too. They're all here. I couldn't breathe right. What do we do? Owen was already moving. He pulled out his phone and dialed, held it to his ear. 911. What's your emergency? My name is Owen Bennett. I'm at the sleep-in on Route 42. My father and aunt are here. They're trying to hurt my grandmother. We need help. I could hear the dispatcher's voice, tinny through the phone, asking questions. Yes, we're in room 214. They're in the parking lot right now. Owen looked at me. No, we can't leave the room, they'll see us. Pause. Okay, yes, I'll keep the line open. He put the phone in his pocket but didn't hang up. A knock at the door. Not loud. Almost gentle. Mom? Stephen's voice. My son's voice. Mom, I know you're in there. Open the door, please. We just want to talk. Owen grabbed my suitcase and motioned toward the bathroom. I followed him, my legs shaking. He pointed to a second door I hadn't noticed before, an exit to the back hallway. When I open this, we run for the stairs. Don't stop. Don't look back. Another knock, louder now. Mom, you're making this worse. Owen's got you scared for no reason. We're your family. We love you. Owen's hand closed around the door handle. Ready? I nodded. The knock turned to pounding. Mom, open this door right now. Owen pulled the door open. The back hallway was empty and dim. We ran. Behind us I heard Stephen's voice getting louder, then a crash. He was trying to break down the door. We hit the emergency exit stairs. Owen pulled me down them fast, one hand on my arm to steady me. Our footsteps echoed in the concrete stairwell. We burst through the bottom exit into the alley behind the hotel. Cold air hit my face. The alley smelled like garbage and grease from restaurant dumpsters. Owen pulled me toward his truck, parked at the far end of the building. Then I saw them. Cameron's stable eyes. Then I saw them Donty Twokels inbound Dolan. Jessica stood at one end of the alley, near the street. Kelly stood at the other end by the fence, both blocking our way out. Owen stopped, pushed me behind him. Jessica started walking toward us. Stephen came around the corner from the front of the hotel. He saw us trapped between Jessica and Kelly. His face changed. Not angry. Something colder than that. Mom, stop this. He walked toward us slowly. You're confused. You're sick. The carbon monoxide affected your brain. I pressed closer to Owen's back. The doctors you lied to. I didn't lie. You're having delusions. Paranoia. It's a symptom. Stephen stopped a few feet away. His voice stayed calm, controlled, like he was explaining something to a child. Owen's filled your head with stories that aren't true. We're your family. We would never hurt you. I found the device, Dad. Owen's voice was steady, but I could feel him shaking. Under Grandma's bedroom floor, the timer, the sealed vents, the fake detector. I photographed everything. You photographed a normal heating system and decided it was something sinister because you've always thought the worst of me. Stop lying. Stephen's jaw tightened. The calm mask slipped. You don't understand what we're going through. What it's like to lose everything you've worked for your whole life. So you decided to kill your mother? We decided to survive. Stephen's voice rose. I'm losing my job. 20 years at that company, and they're cutting me loose like garbage. I've got 3 months of severance and then nothing. You know how much debt we have? How much we owe? Kelly spoke from behind us. We're about to lose our house, everything we built, our kids' future. Her voice cracked. Your grandmother has more than she needs. She's 68. She's lived her life. Why should she have $800,000 sitting in a house while we lose everything? I turned to look at her, my daughter-in-law. I'd helped her pick out her wedding dress. I'd babysat Owen when he was small, so she could go back to work. So you thought you'd just kill me and take it. We thought you'd have a peaceful death in your sleep. Kelly's face was wet with tears, but her voice stayed hard. Old people die. It happens. No one would have questioned it. Except I didn't die fast enough. The words tasted like poison in my mouth. Jessica moved closer from the other direction. This is taking too long. Mom, you need to come with us right now, before this gets worse. Worse for who? Owen asked. For everyone. Jessica reached into her coat pocket, pulled out a small syringe filled with clear liquid. I brought something to help you calm down, Mom. You're agitated, confused. This will make you feel better. What's in that? Owen demanded. Just a sedative, to help her rest. Aunt Jessica, what's really in it? Jessica didn't answer. She took another step forward. Stephen walked to Kelly's car parked near the fence, opened the trunk, came back holding a tire iron. Owen, move away from your grandmother. No, this is family business. It doesn't concern you. She's my grandmother. Dad, she's your mother. Owen's voice broke on the last word. How can you do this? Stephen hefted the tire iron. You've always been like him. Like your grandfather. Thinking you're better than everyone else because you work with your hands. Looking down on people who went to college, who tried to make something of themselves. I never looked down on anyone. You did. Both of you did. Him with his carpentry and his noble hard work. You with your construction and your trade school. Like it was more honest than what I do. More real. Stephen's face twisted. I got an engineering degree. I made something of myself. And where did it get me? Drowning in debt while you're fine. You didn't even take out student loans. Grandpa's insurance money bought you a free start. That money was Grandpa's to give. It should have been mine. I'm his son. And Grandma's your mother, but that didn't stop you from trying to kill her. Stephen's hands tightened on the tire iron. Don't act like you're better than me. You're not. You're just a carpenter's grandson playing with tools. Grandpa built things that protected people, that kept them safe. Owen's voice got stronger. You took everything he taught you about systems and engineering, and you used it to turn his house into a death trap. You sealed the vents he installed. You destroyed the work he did with his own hands. You used your education to murder the woman he loved. Don't you dare talk about him like you knew him better than me. I did know him better, because I understood what mattered to him. Integrity. Doing the right thing. Building things that last. Owen took a step forward. He'd be ashamed of you. Stephen swung the tire iron. Owen ducked and the iron whistled past his head, crashed into the dumpster with a clang that echoed in the alley. Owen lunged forward and tackled Stephen. They went down hard on the pavement. The tire iron skittered away. Owen, I screamed. Jessica ran toward me. The syringe gleamed in her hand. I'm sorry, Mom, but this is the only way. I backed against the dumpster. She kept coming. I looked at her face, trying to find my daughter somewhere in those cold eyes. Jessica, please. It won't hurt. You'll just go to sleep. She reached for my arm. Then the siren started. Jessica stopped, turned. 2 police cars roared into the alley from both ends, lights flashing red and blue across the brick walls. Doors flew open. Officers jumped out with guns drawn. Police! Drop the weapon! Drop it now! Jessica stared at the syringe in her hand. Let it fall. It hit the pavement and rolled. Hands where we can see them. All of you. Stephen pushed Owen off and stood up slowly. His hands went up. Kelly raised hers too, frozen by the fence. Owen got to his feet, breathing hard. He pulled his phone from his pocket. I called 911 from the hotel room. The line's been open this whole time. You heard all of it, right? An officer approached, guns still drawn. We heard everything. Ma'am, are you Claire Bennett? I nodded. My voice wouldn't work. Are you hurt? No. He protected me. I pointed at Owen. More officers moved in. One kicked the syringe away from Jessica's feet. Another picked up the tire iron with a gloved hand. A third guided me away from the dumpster, his hand gentle on my elbow. Stephen Bennett? An officer with sergeant's stripes approached Stephen. Yes. You're under arrest for attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent. Stephen's face went blank, empty. He didn't resist when they turned him around and cuffed his hands behind his back. Kelly Bennett? Kelly started crying. We didn't have a choice. We're losing everything. You don't understand. Ma'am, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. They cuffed her too. Her sobs echoed off the walls. Jessica Cooper? My daughter looked at me. For just a second, I saw something there. Regret, maybe, or just fear of getting caught. I'm sorry, Mom, she whispered. Turn around, please, hands behind your back. They cuffed Jessica and led her to a different police car. Stephen went into another, Kelly into a third. I stood in the alley, watching my children disappear into separate vehicles. The lights still flashed. An officer was taking photos of the syringe, the tire iron. Another was talking into his radio. Owen put his arm around my shoulders. "It's over, Grandma." I couldn't speak, couldn't cry, couldn't feel anything except numb. A detective approached us. Older woman with gray hair pulled back in a bun. "Mrs. Bennett, I'm Detective Morris. We're going to need statements from both of you. Can you come to the station?" "Yes," Owen answered for me. "Your grandson did the right thing, keeping that line open. We have everything recorded. Their confessions, the threats, all of it." "Good," I managed to say. "We'll need to search your home too. Collect evidence." "The house," I looked at Owen. "Walter's house." "We'll be careful," Detective Morris said. "We'll document everything and restore it when we're done." But it would never be the same. Nothing would. The police cars pulled out of the alley one by one, taking my children away. Owen helped me into his truck. I sat in the passenger seat and stared at my hands. "You should have let them do it," I said quietly. "What?" "Let them kill me. Then you'd still have your father, your aunt, your family." Owen started the engine, but didn't put it in gear. He turned to look at me. "Grandma, you are my family, and Dad stopped being my father the moment he decided to murder you." His voice was firm. "Grandpa would have done the same thing I did, protected you, because that's what family means." I touched his face. "This boy who looked so much like Walter. Your grandfather would be so proud of you." "I know," he said quietly, "and so ashamed of Dad." He put the truck in gear and drove out of the alley. The morning sun was higher now, bright and cold. Behind us the hotel stood empty and quiet. I didn't look back. The police station smelled like coffee and floor cleaner. Detective Morris led us to a small room with a table and chairs. Owen sat beside me while I gave my statement. 2 hours of talking through every detail. The symptoms, the hospital visit, Stephen's modifications to the house, the fake detector. Owen showed them the photos on his phone. The sealed vents, the timer mechanism, the gas line under my bedroom floor. Morris leaned forward, studying each image. "Your grandson did good work documenting this," she said, "and the 911 recording from the alley captured their confessions. All 3 of them admitted to the plan on tape." "What happens now?" I asked. "We search your house, collect physical evidence. Then we execute search warrants for their homes and vehicles." They sent a forensics team to my house that afternoon. Owen drove me to his apartment. I couldn't go back there, couldn't sleep in that bedroom again. We sat in his small kitchen while the police tore apart Walter's house, looking for proof that Stephen had turned it into a weapon. Detective Morris called that evening. "We found everything. The modified gas system, the sealed ventilation exactly where your grandson said it would be. Residue testing confirms carbon monoxide exposure in your bedroom. The detector on your ceiling is disabled, just like he documented. So you believe us, Mrs. Bennett. The evidence is overwhelming." 2 days later, they executed search warrants. Stephen's home computer had a folder labeled Project Timeline. Inside were calculations for carbon monoxide exposure rates, notes about symptoms and progression, a document that said, "Subject female, 68 years old. Gradual exposure over 4 to 6 months. Symptoms will mimic natural cognitive decline. Death will appear natural." My son had written a plan for my murder, calculated it like an engineering project. Kelly had a burner phone hidden in her car. Text messages to Jessica. "When will it be done?" "Soon. The house value keeps going up. We need to move fast." And doctor said age-related. Perfect. No one suspects anything. Jessica's work notebook had sections highlighted. Carbon monoxide deaths in elderly populations, investigation protocols, how medical examiners determine cause of death in seniors. She'd researched it at work, using her insurance knowledge to plan how to avoid getting caught. Detective Morris showed me copies of everything. This was premeditated murder conspiracy, sophisticated, calculated, cold. I stared at Stephen's notes, his handwriting so familiar. The same neat print he'd used for school projects when he was young. "Can I see him?" I asked. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "I need to." They arranged a visit. The jail was gray concrete and locked doors. A guard led me to a room with glass partitions and phones. Steven sat on the other side in an orange jumpsuit. He wouldn't look at me at first, just stared at the metal table. I picked up the phone. He picked up his. "Why?" I asked. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. We were desperate. "That's not an answer. We're losing everything, Mom. The house, our savings. My career is over. Kelly's business is failing. Jessica's husband needs medications that cost thousands every month. We needed money. So you tried to kill me." Finally, he looked up. His face was hard, angry. "You don't understand what it's like to lose everything you've worked for your whole life. To watch it all fall apart. I lost Walter 4 years ago. The man who spent 2 years building that house with his own hands to protect our family. You took his work and turned it into a weapon. It was just a house. It was his life's work, and you destroyed it. You're not the son I raised. I did what I had to do for my family. By murdering your mother?" My voice stayed steady, flat. "Walter would be heartbroken. He loved you. Even when you rejected everything he believed in, he loved you." Steven's jaw clenched. "Owen saved me using exactly what Walter taught him. The skills you mocked, the values you said were beneath you." I stood up. "Walter would be so proud of Owen, and so ashamed of you." I hung up the phone and walked out. Didn't look back. Steven sat there staring through the glass, but I was already gone. 3 months passed. The lawyers talked about trials, but there was too much evidence. Steven's computer files, the burner phone texts, Jessica's research notes, the 911 recording where they confessed everything. They took plea deals. All 3 of them. The sentencing hearing was on a cold morning in November. I sat in the front row of the courtroom. Owen beside me, Nancy on my other side. The judge read the charges: conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder. Steven got 15 years, Kelly got 12, Jessica got 10. Before the judge finished, he asked if I wanted to make a victim impact statement. I stood and walked to the microphone. "My husband Walter built our house board by board. He installed every vent, every system, every safety feature to protect our family. He taught our grandson Owen that good work protects people, that integrity matters." I looked at Steven sitting at the defense table. He wouldn't meet my eyes. My son used his engineering degree to pervert that work, to turn his father's house into a murder weapon. He betrayed everything Walter built, everything Walter believed in. I looked at Jessica. My daughter used her professional knowledge to help plan it, to research how to avoid getting caught. Kelly was crying. Steven stared at the table. Jessica watched me with empty eyes. But Owen saved me. Using his grandfather's tools and his grandfather's values. That's Walter's real legacy. Not the son who destroyed, but the grandson who protected. Love and integrity survived. That's what matters. I sat down. The judge thanked me and finished the sentencing. Guards led them away in handcuffs. I watched my children leave the courtroom, walked out into the November cold, and breathed the free air. It was over. 6 months after the sentencing, I sold the house. $825,000. The market had gone up even more. Young families were buying in the neighborhood, renovating old homes, planting gardens where we'd planted ours 40 years ago. I couldn't live there anymore. Every room held Walter's work and Steven's betrayal. The bedroom where he'd tried to kill me, the basement where Owen found the device, the kitchen where I'd made coffee the morning. Everything changed. Owen handled the sale, met with the real estate agent, scheduled inspections, managed the paperwork. Before closing day, he went to the house with his tools. I waited in his truck outside, watched him carry Walter's kitchen cabinets out one by one. The oak ones Walter had made from scratch. Dovetail joints, 3 coats of finish, 40 years old and still perfect. The new owners came to sign papers, a couple in their 30s with 2 kids. They stood on the porch Walter built and talked about their plans: new paint, updated appliances, maybe a deck in the backyard. They'd never know what almost happened in that house. They'd never know about the gas line under the bedroom floor, or the sealed vents behind the walls. The police had removed all of it, restored the house to what Walter originally built. I watched them walk through the front door. Their kids ran ahead, excited voices echoing. "Goodbye, Walter," I whispered. "Your house protected me as long as it could." Owen drove me to my new apartment across town. Small, 1 bedroom, Third floor of a building with an elevator. The landlord didn't allow modifications, but Owen had gotten special permission for the cabinets. He spent the weekend installing them. I sat in my new living room, listening to the sounds of his work. The drill, the level being adjusted, wood settling into place. The same sounds Walter used to make. Sunday afternoon, he called me into the kitchen. Walter's cabinets hung on the wall, exactly where they belonged. The wood glowed in the afternoon light. Owen stood back, hands on his hips, examining his work the way Walter used to. "Grandpa taught me to build things right," he said. "These cabinets will outlast all of us." I touched the smooth oak, ran my fingers over the joints. No gaps, no rough edges. Walter's hands had shaped this wood. Now Owen's hands had given it a new home. "Perfect," I said. Owen smiled. Walter's smile. Life got smaller after that. Smaller but safer. I went to therapy every week, talked about betrayal and trust and learning to sleep without checking the door lock 5 times. It helped. Slowly. Owen came for dinner every Thursday, brought groceries, cooked in my new kitchen, told me about his projects. A renovation in the old district. A custom deck someone commissioned. He was building a reputation, doing good work. One Thursday in spring, he brought someone with him. "Grandma, this is Sarah." She was pretty, with kind eyes and paint under her fingernails. "An artist," she said. "Worked with clay and wood." "Owen talks about his grandfather constantly," Sarah said while we ate. "Says Walter Bennett was the best man he ever knew." "He was," I said. "Owen's teaching me basic woodworking. I want to incorporate it into my art pieces." She looked at him with something soft in her expression. Something good. He's patient like his grandfather must have been. After dinner, they washed dishes while I sat at my small table, watched them work together, easy and comfortable. Owen handed Sarah a dish. She dried it. Simple. Normal. The kind of life that goes on after terrible things end. Owen walked her to her car later, came back inside and sat across from me. "I like her," I said. "Me too. Walter would like her too. She appreciates good work." Owen nodded, quiet for a moment. "Do you think about them? Dad and Aunt Jessica?" "Sometimes, but they're not my children anymore. They stopped being my children when they chose money over my life." "Do you hate them?" I thought about it. No, I pity them. Stephen spent his whole life trying to prove he was better than his father, better than honest work, better than integrity. And where did it get him? Prison. Kelly and Jessica followed him into it. And I followed Grandpa. "You did, and his values saved my life." I reached across the table and took his hand. Walter believed that honest work was honorable, that building things right mattered more than building things fast or cheap or impressive. Stephen rejected all of that, thought his engineering degree made him superior. In the end, Dad's education led to murder, and my training led to saving you. Exactly. Owen squeezed my hand and left. I cleaned up the rest of the dishes, wiped down Walter's cabinets, turned off the lights. In the quiet, I stood in my kitchen. The streetlight outside cast shadows through the window. I touched the cabinets one more time, ran my fingers over the dovetail joints Walter had cut by hand. Perfect angles, perfect fit. Work that lasts. "Walter," I said to the empty kitchen, "you built these to protect us, to hold our dishes and our food and our life together. And through Owen, you still protect us. He carries your hands, your heart, your integrity." I closed my eyes and saw him, not the sick man who died 4 years ago, but the strong carpenter who built our house board by board, who taught our grandson that good work matters, that doing things right matters, that people matter more than profit. "Love one," I whispered. Sunlight would come through that window in the morning. It would hit the cabinets and make the oak glow golden and warm, just like it used to in our old kitchen. Walter's work would catch the light and hold it. Some things last. Some things endure. I smiled and went to bed. Finally at peace. So, that's my story. I'd love to hear what you think. Could you ever forgive your own children if they did something like this? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like mine.